Hello and welcome everyone. So this is going to be part 2 of the miscellaneous video. This is the actions menu in Procreate. We're going to talk about how to change all the settings and what they do in the actions menu. Everything you can do in the actions menu. Some of these things I did go over in other videos, so I will direct you to those videos to get a more complete understanding of those things in the actions menu. But we're going to go through the entire menu and kind of the interface as a whole and kind of show you how to do certain things in Procreate. So let's get started with that, but first a quick intro to those who are new to the channel. Hello, I'm Shannon, owner of Shrush Design. I specialize in hand-lettered and illustrated designs for things like signage, murals, invitations and other stationery, digital graphics, and more. Here on YouTube, I make tutorials of how to do these projects, my methods, the tools I use, and the software I use on a regular basis. For anyone who may be interested, I now also have a free companion course to go along with these videos here on YouTube, where you can get access to additional notes, any digital downloads you may need, extra practice, and the direction of where to go once you master the tutorial. You can find that link down in the description, or just go to my website, www.shrushdesign.com, and look for the online courses section. Okay, let's get on with the tutorial. Anyway, the same options come up here: Procreate, PSD, PDF, JPEG, PNG, TIFF, animated GIF, animated PNG. Same as if you were to, and you can click off of it, off the screen to make it go away. But if you were to select and hit share, same things come up. All right. Basically, that's a quicker way to just do on a single artwork. If you wanted to do multiple at the same time, this is more for doing multiple at the same time, because a lot of those things that you can do to a single image, you can just do by manipulating the photo itself. Like you can swipe, or you can do the preview, and all that stuff, just on a single photo, or a single artwork, I should say. If you want to do multiple, that's when you hit select. But you can do select with single ones as well if you want. But that's supposed to be a quicker way to do single ones. All right, now I'm done. Now I'm done with gallery. Let's start the interface. So again, I'm going to use a screen size document for this. So from the add menu and the actions menu and the add sub menu, there's lots of ways to insert a file, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but you can do cut, copy, and copy canvas and paste here, which we talked about in my gestures video with the copy and paste menu and things like that. But this is another way you can do it. You can insert a file this way as well. However, you can only insert a JPEG, a PNG, or a PSD from this way. Otherwise, you'd have to import it from the gallery. So again, if you want to import a Procreate file or a PDF or some other type of, like a TIFF or an animation, you would have to do that from the gallery, not from here. You can only do JPEG, PNG, or PSD. I don't have any on my files, but that's just to let you know, that's how you would be able to do that. You can also insert a photo here. Now this is gonna be the same, pops up your gallery here. I'll just pick this one for now. This is my chalk art that I did back in July. It was in process at this point, but it'll insert your photo right into the file. And if it's not the same size as your file, you have to do some manipulating. Obviously, it came up with the selections menu highlighted so that you could move it around if you want. Like you can zoom in, move it around like that. And then you see that it's in one of your layers here. But that's how you would do that. Now, I'm going to actually clear this out and show you something else. So you can also do you can insert something secretly. And the reason you would do this is to, if you're going to use it on your time-lapse video, but maybe there's something sensitive on it. It can also be used in a nefarious way, in a way. because you might be copying someone else, and I say don't do that. Don't do that. That's bad. If you don't have the legal right to do it, there's some instances where that's okay to do if you have the express permission to do so. But this is more for if you want to insert something and you don't want it to be on your time-lapse video because you're going to show the time-lapse video to someone later, but you don't want them to see something that's in the photo. Like it may be an address or something that you don't want people to see or something like that. So what you do here is you can do this with either a file or a photo. You can tap, hold, and drag to the left, insert a private photo or insert a private file. So I'm going to insert a private photo here. I'm going to use a different one this time. We'll use Assistant Chaz because he's sensitive. We don't want anyone to see him. Let's say like we wanted to trace over this. I don't have it set up correctly to do this, but I'm just going to do this real quick just to kind of show you what I mean. I have a pencil that is a pressure sensitive one. All right, I'm just going to really quickly do this. This is not a good drawing or tracing at all, but I have the general shape of Chaz there that I just drew because I was able to trace him. Now you see that when I looked at this menu, this says private on it. So this is a secret layer. You can't see it to the naked eye, anyone else watching, unless you record yourself, obviously. But so when I'm going to look at my time-lapse video now, you're going to see that that picture is not going to show up at all. See? That was really fast, actually, too. Yeah, like the chalk art thing just quickly blinked on there because we only had it on for a second. We didn't really do anything with it. But you could see that kind of blink up because that I didn't do privately. But the photo of Chaz, let's watch it one more time. Let's see if we see Chaz. Did not come up. I know. Might have to slow the video down and see if we see it. I'll try that in the editing. But it's not supposed to come up. But that's how you would do that. If you had the correct circumstances to use it, again, do not use this to copy someone else's work. That's bad. Naughty, naughty, naughty. You can also take a photo. So if you were to hit this, you're going to use your iPad camera to take a photo of something. Obviously, I have the background right now that my iPad is sitting on. And then you can import that way. So if you just want to quickly take a picture of something that you're looking at and you don't have a picture already, you can do that real quick and be able to import it into your document there. And you can also take a private photo, which might be kind of creepy. Again, don't be nefarious about it. Clear this out. So another thing you can do here is add text. I talk about this extensively in my text video, but I'm going to show you real quick. You'd be able to just add some text in real quick. Gibberish. But that's the only way you can add text is through that. But again, go to my text video if you want to know more about that. Now you can also do cut, copy canvas here. So I'm going to talk about that now. All right, so I'm just going to draw a few things here, just scribbles. Ooh, okay. I'm going to do another layer too. Ooh, okay. So from here, you would be able to copy. I'm on layer 1 right now, so that's everything but that last thing I drew. You could copy that and then paste it into a different layer if you wanted, like this. So now you have that on layer 3. Now obviously you could do the same thing with cut. That would just delete it from layer 1 there. And then you could paste it into layer 4 if you wanted. I'm going to delete layer 4 for now. I'm going to delete, actually let's not delete layer 3. Let's leave that alone because we want that. But you can also, from there, doesn't matter what layer you're on, you can copy the entire canvas and then paste that onto layer 4. And that also includes the background color, not just your layers. So, just so you know. So if you wanted it to be transparent, you'd have to take that off. So that's what those are all for there. Very easy way to do that real quick. But there's also one more thing you can do secretly. So I'm going to delete this one. You could copy as normal. Let's just copy layer 3. And then let's make a new layer. We want to paste it on there, but you can paste it secretly as well. So now you have a private layer with whatever you copied. So if you were going to copy it, let's say from another canvas and then paste it into a new one, but you didn't want people to see that on your new canvas, that's why you would use that. Again, no stealing. Bad. All right, so I'm going to make a few more scribbles on here because I want to show you some stuff. Beautiful, isn't it? All right, so now if you go into Canvas, you can do crop and resize. So there's a few things you can do here. This is if you wanted to make your canvas bigger or smaller. So you can drag these little nodes around, do either just the width, height, or the height and the width. You can also lock in the ratio. Let me reset to where we were. By hitting this little lock here in settings, that will lock in that ratio. So if you move it, it's not going to move in one direction at all. It's only going to move in the same amount in both directions, whether that's smaller or bigger. It's going to lock in the same ratio. You can also change these numerically if you want to change them. You can also change the DPI here. So this will make it a little more crisper. If you forgot to change that, for instance, before you started, you can now do it here. Okay, resample. If you hit that, notice it automatically locks in the dimensions you have here. And you can make your canvas bigger in the same amount without changing your image at all. Or you could even zoom in on some part of your image but keep the same proportion. Also another thing, when this is locked, you can change one of these and it'll change the other one automatically based on the same amount. So if you turn snapping on, there's a grid that shows up on your artwork and it'll snap to, like the center. to help you get those exact lines on your canvas. That's what that's for. You can also rotate, so this will rotate your canvas around. And then create a new canvas from that. So it's gonna, anything that comes off that grid there is gonna get chopped off. But you can do that here as well. All right. So next thing is animation assist. Again, I go over this in my animation videos, but this is a way for you, it's based on your layers. So let's say we have a few more here. And it'll animate frame by frame these layers. Again, I go over this in my animation videos, but this is where you would find animation assist is in the actions menu. And you can learn more about that in my animations video. Let's turn that off. Page assist is similar. I haven't really talked about that yet, except for when I opened a PDF earlier. Basically, that's what it's for. It's kind of for either going through a PDF like that and just being able to quickly switch through pages and make notes on them, or do whatever, or draw on whatever you're doing very quickly, rather than having to go through, okay, what layer am I on? All right, can I write on here? And then what layer am I on? You know, that kind of thing. And then when you import a PDF, it automatically puts the pages in their own layer, which is nice. But anyway, you can quickly switch through, and it's similar to Animation Assist. And you can duplicate from here. Like if you needed to duplicate a page, you could do that here. You can also delete. And then the first one, you can make your background if you want. So now whatever you draw on this layer, it's going to go on top of that background, and then whatever you draw on this layer is going to go on top of that background. And you can always add a new layer right here as well. The only difference is there is no foreground on this, it's only background. So I'll go over that more in a separate video. We'll talk about importing a PDF and doing something with it in a separate video, but just to show you that that's there, and it's sort of like Animation Assist. Now let's turn background off here, and let's turn this off. Drawing guides, again, I went over in my guides video. I'll go through it real quick again. You can edit drawing guide here. You got 2D grid, isometric, perspective, which you would pick a focal point on, and symmetry, which is, well, when it's not. Symmetry, which you can do, draw something and it'll show up on the other side of the line. There's different ways you can do it. There's vertical, horizontal, quadrant, radial. Again, I go over all this in my guides video, so I'm not going to go over too much of it right now. But that's what you can do. Let's actually go back to 2D, and then I'm going to turn it off. Reference. This is something that I haven't talked about yet. Let me clear this layer out, actually. So reference. You can either reference your entire canvas. So let's say, let's turn it back on real quick. So that is your current canvas. But if you were to zoom in on your actual workspace, you could see the entire canvas over here. Let's pick a different color. And the part that you're zoomed in on, you could draw a little more with a little more detail on here. But you could also see the bigger picture and see what you're doing on this separate pop-up, and then you can move it around wherever you want. So if you're going to zoom in on a spot and you want to like color something in or draw something, you can also see the entire canvas while you're zoomed in. So that's what that's useful for. And I made that on the same layer, but that's all right. I'm just going to erase it. You can also reference an image. So again, if you want to reference an image while you're drawing, you can do that. Let me turn this off. Let me open import image. Again, it's going to bring up my little thing here. Let's import Chaz again. So this is my reference. I can kind of squeeze it, make it smaller so I can see. And then clicking on it will bring this back up. Now I could draw, I'm not going to be able to do this. But I could try to draw Chazzy. Oops, I'm not actually on the layer. Oops. Okay, I'm on the wrong one. That's the problem. I could actually try to draw Chazzy from the picture, and it's hard because he's black anyway, so I'm not going to be able to see really. But you get the picture. You could use that picture as a reference. Obviously, that wasn't that great, but it's hard to see with the black background. But anyway, I could use that to reference as I'm drawing. And I don't think that shows up in your time lapse either. So that's another way to kind of do it secretly, is if you use reference instead. But then you're not tracing it, you're drawing it from reference. One more thing you can do. Do I really want to show my face today? I don't know. How does my hair look? All right, it's going to be hard to do this anyway because the camera's up there. Bad hair day. But anyway, you can put your face here. And then you can draw on, here, let me take my glasses off. You can draw on this. So this is the eyes here. Can you see what you can't even see what I'm doing. See? All right. See my face? You see the screen? Okay. So you can, this is your eyes here. It'll pick out the eyes and then your nose and then your mouth. So you can draw on your face. So obviously this is fun to play around with, or you can make like a filter for social media if you were inclined to do that. Look at my beautiful glasses. Aren't they beautiful? And then, you know, you can make a Joker face on yourself. Like that. Beautiful, isn't it? Anyway, you can do much better things than this with this, but that's what I did. Goodbye. Why am I still here? Okay. So that's what that is. You want to, again, you can play around with that, or if you want to be serious about it, you could possibly make a filter for social media with that. Based on a face, you know, augmented reality stuff. I haven't gotten that deep in there, like I said, so I have played around with it a few times, but I haven't done anything serious with it myself. But anyway, that is what that is. Now you can also flip your canvas. You put this back on. You can flip horizontal or vertical from there. And the last thing here, canvas information. Here is where you can change the title. Other than in the gallery, you can do that. Test. You can also put your little mark on here to know that it's yours. Do I have a logo somewhere in here? Very quickly. Somewhere. And then you can write your name. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Then you can also sign. I guess I can't sign it anymore. I wonder if I rename it. Can I do that? No, I guess not. Okay. Well, you could sign it there, but I messed that up, so I said I was done. But anyway, that's what you can do there. It tells you the date you created it and the date you modified it. Then it has your dimensions here. You can't change anything here. This is just information. It has your height, width, your physical height, physical width, and your DPI. It tells you how many layers you have available or how many you had to begin with, how many you used, how many you have available, and then if you had any assisted layers or clipping layers, layer masks, layer groups, it would be here. I don't have any right now. And color profile, see, this is where you can change this if you want. So again, we were on RGB display P3. You can change within RGB, you can change it to one of these if you want, but not CMYK, remember? So once you're in RGB, you're stuck in there. Here's your video settings. This is your time-lapse video. We have is that 5 seconds or 5 milliseconds? I don't even know, of time-lapse because we haven't done that much. Good quality. This is the resolution of the video. This is the size of your file size, and this is your coding for your video. And then you got some more statistics here. Total strokes made. I made 21. I've been working on this for 32 minutes, and the file size total is 5.74 megabytes. So, gives you all your information. The only thing you can change is the name, and you can put your information in there to like make sure no one steals it. Again, you can't change anything else until you get to the color profile, which you can change within the one that you picked, either RGB or CMYK, but that's it. Otherwise, this is just kind of nerdy information that you want to see. Oh, I've worked on it for 32 minutes already. That's what you can do there. And I'm not going to change the color profile. But that's all that's in Canvas. So share, this is how you export your file. So again, you could export, this gives you a little more options, but back in the gallery, you could export everything that's available that's selected in your layers. So let's say you didn't have these selected, there's nothing on them anyway, but let's say you didn't have that selected either. And this is what it would save that in the gallery. So you could export it that way. And it's just gonna save that layer. But if you wanted to share all the layers, you could do that within your document, even though it's not selected. What? How did that happen? Okay. So this is where you can share more things about your document rather than just what's on the screen in the gallery, which is what we did in the gallery. So you have similar options here. There's a little bit more here, but these were all in that share button from the gallery, and then animated GIF and animated PNG were there as well, or GIF. But you have some other options here for layers. Now again, there's share image, share layers. So image is whatever's on the screen. This is similar to how it's shared from the gallery. Whatever's on the screen, whatever's selected, is what will get exported as a flattened file that way. So remember, it's going to include the background color as well, unless you have it unselected. But if you take away the background color, the only way you're going to get a transparent image is if you do a PNG anyway. Otherwise, it's just going to add a white background to it anyway. But that shares it as a flattened image. If you want to share your layers individually, you can use one of these options. Now the animation ones, again, I went over in my animations videos, but this will animate your layers. It goes through your layers. It goes from the bottom to the top, and it animates every layer. I don't have anything on the other layers anyway, but I guess just to show you, because I don't have anything else on the layers after that, it's just blinking that first one over and over again. But it is going through the layers. It doesn't take the background layer into effect there, but that is the background on every layer unless you turn it off. And I go into more about the differences. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. I go into more about the differences between all these animated ones in my animations video. So you want to check that out to learn more about that if you want. But you can also share each layer as a PDF file or PNG. So if you wanted to take, main reason you use a PNG is to take away the background, although you can use it for a higher quality JPEG as well. But this will export all your layers individually as a PNG rather than all of them together as a flattened file. So that's the difference there. And again, whenever you click on one of these, well, you have quality on PDF, you can pick your quality, but whenever you click on one of those, it's going to bring up this screen. It tells you where to save it, basically, or where to export it. So that's that. If you go to video, this is your time lapse. I showed you this before, but you can turn off your recording if you don't want it to record anymore. And it'll purge what's already been recorded if you want. I don't want to do any of that. I'm gonna turn it back on. But if you were to, I don't want this part on the video, let's turn this off and then draw something and then turn it back on. Obviously, if you don't purge what you have already, it would just connect the parts that you have. So, and then you can export your time-lapse video. So that's what I do when I want to share my time-lapse video. I export it and then save it and then upload it wherever I want. And it gives you full length or 30 seconds. I don't even have 30 seconds on this video yet, so obviously full length is my only choice. But that's the choices you have with doing your and again, you can replay it right here. That's what I have. I almost have 30 seconds. All right, so that's what you have for your time lapse. If you go to preferences, this is preferences, whatever you want to do. I have gone over some of this in the gestures video because the gesture controls you can change if you want. There's default ones, and then there's ones that you can change to suit you better if you don't like the default ones. But there's a few other things you can do here. I kind of went over some of these in other videos, but you can, if you don't want that size and opacity toolbar, you can take that off. But I like that thing, I'm gonna leave it on. Rapid undo delay is when you're doing the rapid undo, where you hold down your two fingers, again, unless you changed it, it'll wait 0.85 seconds before it starts doing it. So in case you're kind of resting your fingers on your canvas like that, it'll give you some time to realize you did that before it'll start undoing. You can make that, longer or shorter if you want. Selection mask visibility. So this is, selection mask visibility has to do with your selections. So let me turn that white back on, I might need that. Right now where that is, if you go into selections and you select something, you see that mask comes up for the rest of it, those diagonal lines. That is for how strong you want that to be. So if you were to decrease that and select something again, you see that it's very faint now. I don't know if you can even see that on the camera, but it's very faint around there. So I like to keep it higher myself, but you can make it even higher too. Let's see what that looks like. It's more intense. So it depends on your preference. This is what it is, preferences. So I had it on 68 point something before. I don't really care. It's close to that. It's fine. But that's what those are for. I'm going backwards this time. Gesture controls, again, you go through this and you can change all your gestures to what you want. Now a lot of these have the same option here, but you can only use it for one thing. So like that tap, the little square, that's for hold on, this thing over here. Right now I have it as the eyedropper, which is what the default is. But if you were to go in here and you wanted to change your quick shape to that, you could change it there, but then that's gonna change your eyedropper to, or it's gonna take away your eyedropper, which is right here, which again is where it's invoked. It would take that off, and now that would be, make it a quick shape rather than that. So again, there's all kinds of things you can go through here and change. Some of them you can change the amount of delay it has. So I have to hold my finger on the canvas for 1 whole second before it'll invoke the eyedropper that way, because you can do it that way too. For quick shape, it's the draw and hold, so that's again, default. You can draw something, hold it, and then it'll snap into that shape. And you have to hold it for a second now. Now you can change that if you want. You want to hold it there for like a half a second instead because you're sick of waiting so long, you can do that. Or if you draw and you tend to hold it at the end and you don't mean to, you can take it and make it longer so that it doesn't happen so often so you don't have to undo. So there's all kinds of options here to change. I leave everything at the default basically. Sometimes I change some of those delays a little bit because sometimes they bothered me. But again, whatever you want to use. Now hover is something I can't actually do with my iPad. I have an older one, so I don't have the hover option on mine. I am planning on upgrading my iPad soonish. I don't know if I have to for the new app that's coming out, which I didn't mention in this video yet, but Procreate is coming out with a new app. It's going to be available November 22nd called Procreate Dreams. It's all about animations. I'm not sure. They haven't really said if I need to upgrade my iPad for that, or if I'm going to be able to use Dreams on mine. So I might be upgrading it around, the end of the year. We'll see. I mean, this one still works great. I'm probably going to keep it no matter what. And I always thought maybe I'll have one for teaching and one for doing my actual work. So either way, I'm going to be using this one still because it still works, but I might be getting a new iPad. I'm not sure. But anyway, I can't use hover, so I can't even show you what that is. You'd have to look for another video that has to do with that. But anyway, there's all these different things you can change, and I did talk a little bit more about this in the gestures video. Pressure and smoothing, this gets a little complicated. You can change, as we went through in the brush studio video, or the brushes video, I think I talked about this briefly too. You can change the stabilization of your brush within the brush when you click on it, but you can also change it here for your entire canvas. And you just kind of play around with these things until they get to a point where it's natural for how you write, basically. So if you're having issues with the pressure sensitivity of your pencil, you might want to mess with this graph. I'm fine with it. I can tell you that the horizontal axis here is based on how much pressure you put on the pencil. And the vertical axis is for the amount that your brush puts out versus how much pressure you have. There are probably videos out there that explain this better than I do. I leave this alone. But if you're having trouble with the pressure sensitivity, you can adjust this graph to help you make it so you're not having problems with the amount of pressure that's put on the pencil. Again, I'm not really good at explaining this. There's probably videos out there that explain it better, but I'm just letting you know it's here. And as far as the rest of these things, they're kind of similar to what you do within the pencil, and I went over that in my Brush Studio Part 1 video, and I'll link that. Going back, your brush cursor and advanced cursor settings, I went over this in my Brush Studio Part 2 or 3. Whatever it is, I will link it and let you know in the description or on the screen. I'm not sure which one it was right now. But basically, you can turn on within the brush, within each brush. In fact, you can change it here. To your, like how it shows your cursor. And you can do it high contrast, active color, or per brush. I talked about that more in that video, but it'll show the cursor on the screen basically. So I think this one is set up where it's not. Let me go to another pencil. Maybe it might show it better. You see when, and it's kind of hard to see, but if you see as you follow the brush, it's coming up with that little shape at the end. It's kind of showing you that. Now, if I had iPad where I could use hover, you could do that without it actually showing up on the canvas. I mean, without it actually painting. You'd be able to see the cursor with hover. But I don't have that option because I don't have an iPad that I can use for that. But anyway, so it's showing you the cursor as you're drawing the shape. It's going to show you how it shows up different every time as you're moving it. That's what that is. Now, project canvas is, you can do that for airplay, like onto a TV or something. If you wanted to show people what you're doing, like in the room, you could do that. You can also use a cable. So connect a cable to your iPad to something else and be able to project it onto something. But that allows you to do that. Dynamic brush scaling. So for dynamic brush scaling, this has to do with when you zoom in your canvas. So for dynamic brush scaling, if you have it off, it's going to change how big your brush is based on how you zoom in. So if you zoom it in like that, it's going to make it smaller because it's that size relative to the zoomed in space. But if you zoom out, it was bigger. If you turn it on, it's going to not change based on how much you zoom in. It's going to be the same size. So that's what that is for. Right hand interface is for if you want everything on this side, but I actually don't because I draw with my right hand, so I want to be able to move this as I'm drawing with my left hand. And light interface will make it into a light interface. I think that's what comes default. So if mine looked weird because yours doesn't, that's how you can turn it off if you want dark mode. I tend to keep things on dark mode. I'm one of the dark mode people. But you can turn this back on if you need to see better for some reason. That's how you can do that. Now if you go to help, restore purchases is something for a very old version of Procreate. You used to be able to buy things within Procreate. I actually wasn't even around back then when I used it, or those weren't around when I used it. Those are for very old Procreate users who may have bought things in the past. So if you get a new version of Procreate and nothing's there, you can restore your purchases. Advanced settings will take you to your settings in your app. So you can change that if you want. Download 3D model pack is to do with the 3D stuff. I don't ever mess with that, so I'm not going to do anything with that. Procreate handbook. Procreate handbook will take you to the Procreate handbook on the Procreate website, which is where I have made a lot of these videos and I'd followed along to make sure I didn't miss anything. But a lot of people, I am marveled at the amount of people who someone will show them something on social media and either they got it from the handbook or they got it from someone else who got it from the handbook. And people are like, oh my God, I've been using Procreate for 5 years and I never knew that. It's right here. You can read about it right here. I mean, yes, you have to actually read the information instead of having someone show you, but everything is here. They have a very, very extensive handbook that tells you how to do everything on their app. I mean, there are some parts where it's like, what does this mean? I'm not really sure. And I may have to look at a video for someone who knows it better to actually understand what it does, but a lot of the things are here. And it has categories. In fact, right now when I'm making this video, I went through the gallery one and I went through the action menu one just to make sure I didn't miss anything, really. So right there, and you can get it right from Procreate, or you can just go to the website on Procreate and then you just look for support and it's handbook right here. That's where I am already, so it's not going to go there. But anyway, it's not a secret. It's right there on the website. And I know sometimes it's easier for someone to explain to you for video. I get that, but the amount of people that are like, I never knew that was a thing. Didn't you think to look at the website? It's right there. They maybe have some support or something that you could look something up. I mean, that's where I normally go first when I'm trying to figure something out. So that's that. And it takes you to different parts of the website. Like getting started will take you to obviously a YouTube video that'll tell you how to use Procreate all by itself. It takes you to a playlist, which is nice. But I'm not going to do that right now. Oops, didn't need to do that. It took me out of Procreate. I don't want YouTube. Okay. Anyway, that's what that is. Support is if you have an issue. It'll help you find what you're looking for, including the handbook is there. Procreate Folio, so this is, you can join this if you want and start sharing your artwork. And then leave a review. If you want to review Procreate, you can do that right there. But that's all in the help section. Okay, anything else I missed in the videos? There may have been some things I missed. I have to kind of go through and make sure I covered everything. If there's anything else, I will release a separate video about tips. I'm probably going to release a lot of the things that I did in a quicker video version for people who have a smaller attention span, and then I'll direct them to my longer videos to try to understand exactly everything about it. Again, the thing that I see on social media a lot when people are like, oh my god, I never knew that existed. Those kind of videos, so I can drag those people in and try to get them to understand better, is basically my plan as far as Procreate goes. And again, now we're going to be doing, I started some animation projects. We're going to be continuing those because the new animation app, the Procreate Dreams that I was talking about earlier, is coming out in November, but it's not affecting the animation stuff on Procreate itself. So I'm not going to have to redo anything. At least I don't think so. They weren't exactly clear about that. Some of the features they talked about are going to be coming to regular Procreate app, not the animation stuff, but like some of the like larger file sizes and stuff they were talking about. I think they're gonna be bringing that into regular Procreate, but I'm not sure about how much of it's going to change. So I don't think I need to redo a whole lot yet until they do make changes. We'll see about that. But that's good news because then I don't have to redo my animation video and I can keep making my animations video as I started. So those are going to be coming up. I also have regular projects that don't have anything to do with animations coming up soon. So again, that's what you have to look forward to with Procreate videos on this channel. See you in the next one.